thing that I have to talk about tonight, and this is a big one, and it's going to cause some hard feelings, I believe, all around when the decision is made by this council as to how they want to proceed. Either way, the decision that you make is going to cause hard feelings. And it has everything to do with the ordinance pertaining to where you can and cannot park a tractor and trailer, or a road tractor or a trailer. The ordinance is very clear, very clean cut, very concise and to the point. You cannot park a road tractor, tractor and trailer of any type on any side or back street in Iron Gate. The only road in town that you're allowed to park those on is US 220 going through town. That in and of itself creates a problem, because when somebody parks a tractor and trailer on 220, you cannot see when you come to the stop sign from the side streets to get out on 220. We all know the truck that we're talking about that's had the most complaints about it. But just like the nuisance ordinances, if you enforce this ordinance on one truck driver, you have to enforce it on every truck driver that's parking their rig on public right-of-way. So, I had a visit at my house right after our meeting last month from Mr. Nicely. Said that he had received a phone call while he was at home that we were going to send the wrecker to get his truck and tow it out of town. And we never, nobody said that. Nobody told anybody that. But anyway, he came to the house and he sat on the couch for a very lengthy conversation. Very appropriate conversation, very nice, well thought out, well put conversation. And he brought me kind of up to where he is. Now, I want to first say, and I'll say this again Thursday night, I know what the ordinance is. And I know the procedures that should have, could have been followed. And I don't believe that they were. But, first of all, he acknowledged to me openly that he knew that he was in violation for parking his truck on the back street. He said, I know that the ordinance says I cannot do that. He said, I was parking my truck on 220 in front of my house. One of my neighbors complained that they couldn't see to make the turn to get out on 220. Went to the former mayor and lodged a complaint with him. Really didn't have an option. They really didn't know what to do. So anyway, the resolve to that situation, from what I'm being told, and I want to preface that by saying what I'm being told. I'm not saying this is what happened, and until I finish reviewing the minutes from 2000 to 2007, I'm not sitting here saying beyond a shadow of doubt that this didn't happen. But based on information that I have been given, one person believes one thing, and in reality, it never happened. And let me clear that up, because that's kind of it doesn't make much sense. Mr. Nicely truly believes that he has an agreement with this town to park his truck where he's parking it. And the way that he justifies that is that lot that he's parking his truck beside of is owned by the town.
Yeah.
That whole triangle is owned by the town. And it was brought to him for him to move his truck off of 220. And the agreement, as I have been told, that was made between him and his father was that if they would clear the lot of the wood and brush and debris that was on that property property down there and make it so that it could be mowed, then the town would allow him to park his truck over there. Even to the point that the town agreed to put the rock and slate and gravel there to make him a parking place. He declined that offer because he said if he was going to park his truck there, it was up to him to make his own parking place. But he believes that in return for services provided to the town for this agreement, that he has an exclusion to the ordinance to park there. And he went as far as to say that this was an agreement made between him and the previous mayor and the former chief of police. And Junior acknowledges the fact that he heard the conversation with Mr. Nicely and Mr. Williams concerning this agreement, and that Junior heard the deal be made that he could park his truck on that spot. Even to the point that the ordinance was brought down to Mr. Nicely, showed to him where he's parking his truck now, and said, this is what the ordinance says, but we're not going to enforce it because we need to get you off at 220. Thus, he's been parking his truck there, he told me, for over 10 years. Has it been that long? I don't know. I've really never paid any attention to it.
It's been a long time.
He told me over 10 years he's been parking his truck there. So, what I have started is reviewing the minutes from 2000 to 2007. And the reason that I'm stopping at 2007 is because that's when I moved back to town. And his truck was already parked there when I moved back to town, and the lot was cleared. So I know it had to be before 2007. Now what I have also done though is I've talked to Jennifer, and I've talked to Bobby, and I've talked to Richard. All three were on council at this time. And none of them have a recollection of anything ever being brought to council for any type of a variance to that ordinance or any type of an agreement to that effect. Is that accurate?
That's accurate, as far as I know.
So, but I want to be able to say that I have covered the bases and reviewed the minutes. And Michael nicely acknowledged the fact that if there's nothing in writing, he knows he doesn't have a leg to stand on, but he feels like that he's going to be the loser on this deal because the deal was made in exchange for services rendered to the town, for him to be able to park there. Now, I'm going out on a limb, I'm going to say this, and I know that it's going to be on public media, and I know that I'm going to reap the wrath of it, but Mr. Williams nor Chief Hodge had the authority to make this agreement unless town council voted on it and allowed that agreement to be made. Okay? People have the misnomer that the mayor has all of this authority. I have no authority. The mayor has no authority other than what you give to the mayor. And that's why I'm checking the minutes. Because Thursday night, a decision's going to have to be made. Are you going to enforce the ordinance as written? Or are you going to honor an agreement that we have no documentation of on somebody's word? That's the decision that's going to have to be made. I think I know if I had a vote, how I would have to vote. And I think that the legal and logical thing that you have to do is go by the written word of the ordinance that were voted into place and signed into effect. And this is not a new ordinance. This ordinance was on the books of 1986.
Yeah. Yeah.
When Alethea Fisher was the mayor, and she was still Fisher, and she signed it into effect in September of 1986. So it's not a new ordinance. So that's where we are with that. By Thursday, I will have reviewed the rest of the minutes, and I will be able to say without a doubt that there is no written record of any such agreement. But, I mean, I realize that Mr. Nicely truly believes that he was in the right to do what he's been doing. And there's no documentation, so there's no leg to stand on, in my opinion. And I'll ask Jared to confirm that, but I think I know the answer to it. Any questions or comments about that situation?
Well, now, the Haneys, when Barry and his boy was driving, they were parking over in front of my house. But now somebody said something to them because they started taking them over Canfield and leaving when they come in. I don't know what was said. I never said nothing to them.
Right. Well, you know, there's options. There's other places he can park in town. I know he can't get the truck to his house where he lives now. The road's too narrow and the limbs on the trees hang too low for him. But at the same time, we have these ordinances in place for a reason. And it's just like the nuisance ordinances. And it's been said to me at least 4 times that I can document. There's no need to have the ordinance on the books if you're not going to enforce it. And that's from 4 different people. So, any comment, any questions, Randy?
No, I told you what I'd do last week.
Well, you know, the statement was made last week that we were headhunting and we were going after one individual and picking on one person, and that's not the case. The ordinance covers everybody. So,
Speaking of that, I mean, I know it's along the same line. Has he picked his letter up yet?
no, he has not. Did you get it back?
No, sir.
Oh, did he pick it up?
I haven't gotten anything back.
And he told me, he said, I don't ever see the mail, I don't get the mail, I'm never home.
Come on,
So,
come on.
but anyway, that's where we are with that. Randy, you got anything else for tonight?
No, you hit
Jimmy?
mine.
I got a question.
All right?
You know where Kern's parking is down there on that old lot that used to be Mann's? I don't know if it still is. Why
Yes.
couldn't he work out an agreement with
I asked him
them?
that very question. And he says that they're not willing to work out an agreement with him.
He could still take it over Canfield.
And I asked him that very question, and he said his hesitancy to take it over there and park it was that Mr. Garton told him that he was welcome to park it over there as much as he needed to or wanted to, but if they needed the space, he would have to move it. I asked the question if he could back it in on his property beside of his house down there, and he said he couldn't back in off of 220, number one, and number two, that his loads were so heavy that the sidewalk wouldn't support the weight.
Yeah, you know.
And that wouldn't be solving, if he did that, that wouldn't be solving the problem with the refrigeration unit sitting there running anyway, because it would still be in the same neighbor's house.